Well, good morning. Brian King here. I had the privilege of speaking to a member of my ADHD parent group this morning, and chances are you're seeing this live in that group. And one thing that came up, it's one of those subtleties that if you really don't live and immerse yourself in ADHD, you could miss. And it's simply this. Remember that you're dealing with an all or nothing thinker. And in that lens on the world, which is pretty much what it is, it's a way of filtering the information coming in. But for our kiddos, one of the dichotomies when it comes to all or nothing thinking is, all things are good, all things are bad, all things are win, all things are lose. So one of the common arguments or disagreements we have with our kids is when we respond to their self-talk. So they'll say things like, I'm stupid, nobody likes me, the teacher thinks I'm dumb. And the typical response parents give is to argue the position. And they'll say, oh, honey, don't say that about yourself. You're a smart kid. No, I'm not, Mom. I'm really stupid. What you found yourself in with this exchange is you found yourself in an argument with an all or nothing thinker. So regardless of what the child's age is, they're going to defend their position because their mind is win-lose. And you've essentially, just by debating their conclusions, you're telling them that they're wrong. That's what they're hearing. That's not necessarily your intention. You want to cheer them up. You want to point out to them that, hey, there's more evidence here than what you're paying attention to. There's plenty of evidence that you're smart, that you're gifted in other areas. But they don't want to hear it once you start challenging directly their ideas. You're just going to end up going back and forth. I'm stupid. No, you're not. You're really smart. You don't know what you're talking about. He wants to be right. He or she just wants to feel like they're right. And that's ego, and that's all or nothing thinking. So what do? How do you help your child think more solution-focused, more optimistically, more positively? This is how you do it, or at least this is a sample. One of the things that our kiddos don't learn how to do when they're walking around being defensive, being anxious, looking for danger everywhere in their environment, because they're so self-conscious and so dysregulated, they learn about all the threats that the world has to offer, but they never learn to look inside. Or they rarely look inside. They don't learn to introspect. Kids who don't think before they act. Kids that don't understand their own impulsivity. They constantly say, I don't know why I did that. I don't know. It's because they lack introspection. So we have to really help them learn to do it. And you don't teach them how to do it by telling them to do it. Think before you act. How many times do I need to tell you? How come it's not sinking in? Well, because they're not introspecting. So this is how you do this exchange with your child differently, so it's not about an argument, it's much more about an exploration. So your child comes to you and says, man, I'm so stupid. Then your question, instead of coming from a sense of authority that, no, you're wrong, child. No offspring of mine could be stupid. You're the most enlightened being that ever set foot on this planet. No, you're not going to say that. That's overkill. But you get my point. So instead of challenging and arguing that point, you're going to ask a question that's driven by curiosity. So your child says, man, I'm so stupid. You ask, when did you decide that was true? Because you want to impress upon your child or help them realize that they made a decision here. They chose to assess themselves in a certain way. They decided that all the evidence points towards I'm stupid. So you want to help them realize that it's a decision. It's not an observation of objective reality where there's evidence that clearly points to stupidity. There's also plenty of evidence that points towards intelligence. So you want to help them introspect and learn, how do they reach their conclusions? Well, I assumed it. I rushed to judgment. I've decided to feel sorry for myself, whatever it is. Now, just that first question is the tip of the iceberg. There are several things you can do in this exchange, because you know this single question is not going to be so paradigm shifting that your child is suddenly going to say, aha, I've seen the glory. The light is now penetrated my soul and I completely get it. It's not going to happen that way. But it is going to unlock something in their brain where they are now considering something they haven't considered before. An exception to the all or nothing rule. A little bit of gray, if you will. And these are things that we want to consistently encourage our kiddos to start doing. A new way to process things. A widening of the lens of their paradigm. You know what I'm getting at here. So that's something you can start with. Of course, there are more aspects, as I mentioned. There's more to this strategy. But once you develop the thinking, the mindset behind this, it's not a matter of memorizing scripts. It's a matter of understanding the spirit. It's a different priority for how you're interacting with your child. It's about guiding them into an awareness that's going to allow them to be much more resourceful and resilient, as opposed to trying to lecture them into that space. All right, I'll leave you with that for now. If there's anybody that you know that can benefit from this video, tell them to come to wherever you are seeing it and share it with them. And if you have any questions about this, just send me a message. And until next time, this has been Brian. Thanks for being you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.